as we begin to answer this question, the first thing that we want to see, and this for somebody here in the room, maybe more than one person, for somebody here in the room, this will be the most important thing you hear all morning. Look to the passage and let's notice carefully how Paul phrases this. Whoever therefore eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be guilty concerning the body and the blood of Christ. Now, in the English Standard that I just read from, as well as probably most modern translations, I think the King James is not along the same vein, but that's translated as an adjective, right? Worthy manner. What's worthy describing? Worthy is describing manner. Manner is a noun. Adjectives describe nouns. Okay? So worthy is an adjective, except in what Paul wrote. What Paul wrote, that word worthy, is not an adjective, it's an adverb. So I think the King James translates it worthily. Anybody reading from the King James? Is it worthily? Worthily is not a word we use. And so the editors of modern translations are attempting to use a word that we can relate to more, that we can understand more, and so they've changed it to worthy manner. But the word that Paul uses is an adverb, not an adjective. Now, why is the part of speech important? Because an adverb modifies a verb, not a noun. So what Paul is not speaking against is he's not saying that there are unworthy people coming to the table. He's saying you are coming in an unworthy way. The difference between those two is huge. Because isn't that something that has troubled, I think, every believer? If you take the supper seriously, have you not been troubled by the question, am I worthy? Am I worthy of the body of Christ? Am I worthy of the blood of Christ? What believer has not struggled with that? But notice, Paul did not say if an unworthy person comes to the table. He said if you come in an unworthy way, an unworthy manner. The word is describing the way that they come, not who's coming. And for somebody in the room, that will really make all the difference in the world for the table. If you struggle with being worthy. I don't know how many times I've been part of the supper. There will be a believer whom I know to be a professing believer that believes in their heart that they are converted and born again. And they abstain. And I don't usually know what may be behind that, what the abstaining from the table is all about. But clearly there's a struggle. Clearly there's something within them that's saying to them that they're not worthy to take of that. What Paul is not saying here is that there are people that are unworthy of the table. He's saying that there is a way of coming to the table that's an unworthy manner. Because it only takes just a moment for those of us who know the gospel to say emphatically, who's worthy of the table? Nobody. And that's the whole point. The whole point is that none of us are worthy of the table. Now, if we do what Paul tells us to do, which is examine ourselves and discern according to the body, discern the body. We'll get to that in a moment. If we do what Paul tells us, here's the irony of the whole thing. The better you do that, the more successfully you examine yourself, the more unworthy you'll feel, which will make your manner even more worthy. Isn't that ironic? That's sort of a paradox, isn't it? If you do what Paul says, you feel even more unworthy, which makes the manner of coming even more worthy.